Representative Hernandez, you and your party had the sole and exclusive privilege of drawing your own legislative districts, and in doing so, you did that explicitly to your own partisan advantage. Is that fair to say?
I'm sorry.
It's in the resolution. That's clearly that would be a fair thing to say. And when you drew the legislative and congressional maps for Democrats, you drew these in some instances with certain people in mind to run for these offices, right?
I just can't. I cannot hear.
When you drew the legislative and congressional maps for Democrats, you drew these in some instances with specific people in mind or certain people in mind to run for these offices, right? Certain people that it would make sense for them to run for these offices.
That's not relevant. No, I don't think this is relevant to what we're talking about.
Well, I think that it clearly is here, but we'll go on. For the judicial subcircuits that you are creating in this bill, did the folks that drew these maps have people in mind to run for these new judicial subcircuits? Were there people in mind to run for these when these were drawn?
No.
No, there was not.
No.
How do you know?
I don't understand you.
No, how do you know that there wasn't specific people in mind when you were drawing the maps? I mean, when you drew the congressional maps, you obviously drew them with people in mind that would be running for them. If you look at the maps, when you drew the legislative maps, you drew that with people in mind, with partisan advantages in mind. So you're telling me that you're certain that wasn't the case.
The strong basis of how we did the maps was based on population shifts and to diversify.
Okay, no partisan advantage, no specific people. I mean, you know where the people live, and the people that help you draft this bill, they clearly know how to draw a district to give people partisan advantages. They've proven that in the past. I mean, you'd agree with that, right?
No.
The people that drew these maps clearly knew how to draw them to a partisan advantage. Are you aware of any person who has plans to run in any of these judicial subcircuits that you're creating?
No.
Are any of them currently legislators?
I said no. No.
I'm sure that your party certainly has some judicial candidates in mind for these subcircuits. Would that be fair to say that your party has some people in mind that would run for in these subcircuits that you specifically drew?
Representative Ugasti yields his 3 minutes.
I've already said that we didn't do this with people specific candidates in mind. He's waiting for your answer on that.
Are you waiting for me? No. The answer is no.
No? Okay, well, that's interesting. I don't think anybody believes that, but are you aware of any legislators who have reviewed these subcircuits who have expressed any interest in running for judicial positions?
You've asked this question 3 times
No.
now.
Okay. Are you aware of any legislators that have reviewed these subcircuits because one of their family members might be interested in running for that judicial position?
I already answered these, Representative.
No, I don't think you answered that. That's the first time I asked that.
I did.
Okay, well, I just want to be really, really clear. So you're telling us, the members of this body, that neither you personally, any other legislator, or any of the folks that drafted this map took into consideration the political advantages of a legislator or a family member of a legislator were they to make a run at one of these judgeships. That wasn't taken into consideration. You're 100%, you're very clear that wasn't taken into consideration.
Anybody can run, Representative.
Okay.
That's an attorney.
Anybody can run, yes, clearly, but are you telling us today that none of these were drafted with any folks in this legislative body or any close family members involved
Yes.
to run for?
That's
okay.
what
What if you were in a situation where you believe that was happening?
Anyone's free to run.
What if it did happen?
That's hypothetical.
I mean, okay. Would that be unethical? Would that be an ethical breach if something like that was happening?
How is this relevant to
It's
the
very,
bill?
very relevant. It's extremely relevant, and I think there are questions that need to be answered. What if a very powerful, influential legislator voted to create a new judicial district with full knowledge that one of their close family members are interested in results of this new map? They would be very well positioned to run. Do you think that would be inappropriate?
I would just consider that another hypothetical question.
Well, it's not necessarily a hypothetical. We're
Representative
drafting-
Wilhour, so Representative Brady has indicated that he would yield his 3 minutes.
We clearly have a.
Representative Wilhour. So let's not be argumentative. If you have a question, let's ask it and she'll
I'm
answer.
asking a lot of questions. With all
Yes,
due
and you're
respect.
being argumentative. We would ask that you just ask the question, let her answer it, then you ask the next one.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, clearly we have conflicts of interest problems in this state. Do you think that would be a potential conflict of interest if something like that was happening? Would that be an inappropriate use of public position for using your public position for personal gain? I mean, I think these questions are relevant in the state of Illinois, the corruption capital of the United States. I think these are things that we need to be thinking about, especially in regards to how the rest of this process has played out behind closed doors and everything else. I'll just go to the bill, Mr. Speaker.
To the bill.
The blatant political power grabs like this lead to corruption almost every time. A situation that we outlined is not only very realistic, it's an example of public corruption and something that we all need to make for certain that is not taking place on our watch.